Welcome to Life's About Living. I'm Dr. Page, the best guy to see on the worst day of your life. And I have with you my friend, this is the best guy to see any day of your life. This is Dr. Joe Pettigrew. Now, he's not a real doctor. He's one of them. What are you? What kind of doctor are you?
Smart.
He's one of those smart guys. Anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Joe, what are we going to talk about today? I've completely forgot already.
Well, I don't know what we're going to talk about today.
Don't you think there's so many people today that life just didn't turn out the way that they expected it to turn out? I mean, don't we all kind of struggle with that in a sense? We look back, maybe we're kind of moving out of middle age into the retirement years, and we had all these dreams as a young person, and
that's right.
It just sometimes things don't turn out.
Sometimes we see people we grew up with, and we think, how come they've kind of just everything's just gone great for them? I mean, they've got big houses and big careers, and that's You
think we're envious?
I think envy is taking over America, don't you? I mean, right now it's important not that you have the right kind of cars, the right kind of house,
or even in media nowadays. You turn your Facebook page, it looks like everybody else lives the lifestyle, the rich and famous. I mean, no problems, everything's perfect. They always present a perfect, a perfect impression of themselves.
To me, the thing I always try to remember, though, Chuck, is God made us, and He don't make any mistakes. So what we've got here is what He intended for us to have. And He didn't intend for me to look like Rob Lowe or any of those other famous people. And He didn't intend for me to be living in a mansion playing on the PGA Tour. He didn't intend me to be part of the NBA. A lot of times I've grown up with this deal. Everybody said, you can be anything you want to be.
Right.
Well, that ain't true. I could not have been a doctor because I'm not that smart. I couldn't have been a basketball player, NBA, because I'm not that good. So we are all created with a certain set of sets.
I think about this too, Joe. I think it was Malcolm Muggeridge. He was a writer, and he said, there's two catastrophes that can happen in life. One is getting what you want, and the other is not getting what you want.
Well, the worst would be deserving. Getting what you deserve.
And so, I'm a doctor, and now I kind of look back and go, was that really a good decision?
Well, but
we all have these things.
Look at you and say, man, I wish I was a doctor. I wish I was a doctor. But, I don't, because I would pass out every day. But there are people that look at us and they envy what we have, just like we look at everybody else.
Isn't that a natural inclination?
One of the things today is this feeling of we're never satisfied. Mm. Now we're dealing. It's not about us anymore. It's about our children underneath us, and we see the war that they're in. They're in a war, and sometimes they're never going to get what they're trying to get. It's not there. The perfect life is not available.
What's interesting too is that the suicide rate now for younger people is higher than it's ever been. And I think it's because of this lack of contentment. It's this impression that we have to be perfect, that we have to be the Peyton Manning, that we have to be the neurosurgeon, we have to be the Ben Carson, we have to be all these things.
Don't you think as you get older, that kind of falls away a little bit? And we start thinking about what's really important. Yeah, what's really.
Yeah.
And all those other things that came are not that important. But there is a time in life, and again, our kids are going through it, to where those things are very important. And they're thriving. And so for us to say, guys, trust me, it's not that important, they're not going to listen to that because they're at a different time and place. But even as in our ages, in the baby boomer generation, we still do this envy thing. We do. We want to have the car we want to have, and we want to live maybe in a retirement community. We want to live where we want to live.
Right.
And envy in the world, though, sometimes we see other people and we think, how did their life turn out so perfect? they never have a problem, Chuck. We don't know that. And,
we don't know that. So often we don't see the whole picture of what's going on in a person's life.
So what do you envy? Is there something kind of that people envy? I can tell you, Trudy and I have a motorhome, and of course, you think you're just great till you go somewhere and one pulls up beside you that makes you look like you're Eddie on the Chevy Chase Christmas video. But we have something until we compare ourselves to other people. And what about this? What about if you created a marriage, now that we're all older, to where younger people compare themselves to you about it? What about if you created a demeanor about the way you're going to approach life to where people they envied the way you took on life? I think you've probably seen in your message, some people, when they get horrible news, just handle it better than other people.
Absolutely. I think accepting our circumstances is one of the biggest things. But don't you think that comes from within? Don't you think that's a spiritual thing in a sense, and that this sense of satisfaction ultimately comes from within, from our relationship with God, from contentment, from all those things that because we're chasing around the wrong things.
But we always are looking to that thing that's kind of in front of us. I wish I could be there. I wish I could be there. I wish I could be there. But when we look over our shoulder, we always see some people that are worse off than we are. Yeah. But we never usually want to look that way. We want to just keep looking at the other place. In today's world, is a lot of the baby boomers are in retirement, and their income becomes kind of fixed or whatever. We start thinking about the things in life that are really important. And I'll tell you, this pandemic has showed that.
Absolutely.
The low pay for teachers and nurses and stuff like that, and then basketball and football players and coaches making $1 million a game. $1 million. And all these movie stars making that and all like that. That's where envy comes from. Because people think, I bet I could have been done that, or I could have done that. And it's frustrating because you wonder, why did they get those breaks and I didn't?
Yeah. I think we need to learn to be content. I think one of the things that's really important is limiting the amount of media that we watch. Because I really believe that our media gives us this impression, even with marketing and commercials and things, they're planting these thoughts in our minds that enough is never enough.
Well, how about,
they create discontent.
Every year at Christmas, Lexus has this commercial of a brand new Lexus sitting in the driveway with a red bow on the top that if you're any type of husband at all, that's what you're going to give your wife. This year, there were a big Suburban or something and a truck out there.
Yeah, they got two of them.
Yeah, it just keeps getting more and more and more. So, how do we be content? Because being content is really important when you become at an age where you don't have unlimited income possibilities. You can't go get another job that's going to pay you $200,000 more than the one you're making now.
Yeah.
So how do you become contented? One of the things I think that I hear more and more people is when you finally figure out that it ain't all about money. It ain't all about money.
I think so. I think about, not to let the foam come out of my mouth and the eyeballs bulge, but I think about what the Apostle Paul said. He learned to be content in all things. And the times are good.
And when he wrote that,
times are bad. He was in prison. And he was asking for money too. I think by the way, but it's just amazing how we can, be content in whatever circumstance
some of
we
the
face.
Times, the happiest people we meet probably have more problems than we do.
I'm telling you something, Joe. If you've ever been around somebody who's dying of cancer, if you ever really been around them, they're the most wonderful people to be around, because you know what? They figured out what's important.
Right.
They know all that stuff, having the 2 cars, having the Lexus for Christmas, all that doesn't matter, because in the end, guess what?
Yeah.
You ain't going to take it
You
with
ain't
you.
gonna take it with you.
And so, those people have figured it out, and so,
But it's an extremely hard lesson for all of us to learn, because you would think if I just had a little bit more, isn't that what Warren Buffett said when somebody said, how much money is enough? He said, I just want a little bit more, and I think that's the way that most people live. But so maybe what we should end the program with today is encouraging people to think back of what you got.
yeah.
What are the things in your life that you've got? I mean, if you've got children, and especially if you've had grandchildren, and if you've got a place to live, and we live in the greatest country in the world, I don't
So we got
care.
so many things to be thankful
There's so much. And if we have our faith in place and know where we're going when we die, I mean, there's so much that we should be walking around with a smile on our face, happy, and not with this, what do I need that I don't have?
Joe, I'm thankful to be here with you.
Well, I'm glad. I'm thankful to be here too.
Hey, thanks for being here with us on Life's About Living. And so, since I'm closing, I get to say the last thing, maybe. If you show me your focus, I'll show you your future. You can.
Whoa, that's pretty good, man. You read that somewhere, didn't you?
No, man, that's not. That's an original.
No,
That's an original. So anyway, once again, you can
there's probably copyright lawsuits on the way, but that is a brilliant
text
thing.
LAL to 66866 and follow our podcast and our TV show. This is Life's About Living. Dr. Joe Pettigrew. I'm Dr.